Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome to one of the hottest topics going around in marketing right now. I think there is no bigger surprise for all of us as to how well the WNBA has been doing, over the years. But I think we've all seen how incredible things have been going. And I think even more incredibly for us in influencer marketing, we've been seeing this beautiful intersection of beauty and athletics really playing out both on screen, like even before the games, and of course in social media. So I want to ask some questions first of you guys, and I think this first one can go for you both, which is, how has influencer marketing changed the way athletes and beauty brands are collaborating?
All right, well, first of all, thank you so much for having us. I would say our athletes are actually influencers themselves, right? So we're talking about the tunnel walks and you're seeing their fits, and everybody is able to be authentically themselves. So whether you are totally into fashion and you're rocking your all Prada outfit, or you're in your athleisure and you just want to get on the court, I think when it comes to influencers, our athletes are intentional and authentic, and that's what fans are looking for. That's who they want to connect with. You know, fans of the WNBA are 131% more likely to buy from a sponsor of the WNBA than fans of general sports. They say that I want to associate with the brands that associate with the league. The league stands for what I believe in, and that's why I'm going to make that purchase. So that's really where it all comes from.
Awesome.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's also about the meaningful connections that they have with their community, and as a brand, we want to connect to them. So with that relationship already built with that audience, female athletes, especially from a partnership and collaboration side, is incredibly important. It's a way to really connect with these audiences in a way that we wouldn't necessarily be able to do on our own.
Yeah, and you know what, Diana? I want to ask you specifically a question because I feel like right now it can feel like a buzzy time for brands to jump in on the WNBA bandwagon and even just working with female athletes in general. But I feel like NYX and L'Oreal have really had this market in mind for longer than others have. So I'd love for you to touch on some of the reasons why you guys got into working with these types of brands, and what's been really successful for you?
That's a great question. NYX, I like to say that we've been entering territories where there's not necessarily a blueprint. We were the first makeup partner for Netflix last year, exclusive makeup for Barbie the movie. So all of those decisions, we put our community at the center of it. So with that, it hasn't changed when we're looking at sport as a category. And as long as we put them and the decisions that we're making, the community is at the center, then we're able to apply that within sport. I think when we talk about beauty in sports, it's not always necessarily the immediate connection one might see. So I think when we're looking at that, the success for us is to not shy away from it, is to continue to move forward, learn, and figure it out together with our partners.
Yeah, that's absolutely the truth right there. And I think bringing it down to basics, because I think sometimes we're up here talking about things that are like way up here, but sometimes we want to really get an understanding of what's been successful for you. So when it comes to platforms and just understanding the evolution of some of these platforms, the changes, the abilities, what platforms have been really pushing the needle for both of you guys when it comes to content that is really connecting with the consumer?
Yeah, so, at the WNBA, we sit uniquely at the intersection of sport, culture, and lifestyle. And so we view our content through all of those lenses, and we're really reaching three different fans. You have fans who support us because of the purpose-driven values that we represent. So that's that cultural bucket. Then you have your die-hard basketball fans who just love basketball, have been following since the NCAA, and want to be really in the thick of it. And then you have your casual viewer, and how do we bring him or her into the fold? So when it comes to the platforms, it's about widening the aperture and bringing more fans into the funnel. We were the first women's sports league to do a $75 million outside capital raise 2 years ago, which helped us build the infrastructure for a new digital transformation. So our app is key to reaching so many people. Right now, we are at a 350% increase with MAUs year over year. But of course, our athletes are on Instagram. IG features our tunnel walk, and that's our new runway. Everything from TikTok. And I think when you talk about communities, we're still on X. We have 25 games that are actually live broadcast on X, and then tonight, is today the 19th? I don't even know.
Sure is.
Yeah, tonight is the first WNBA game in immersive VR, which will premiere on Meta. So
Amazing.
We're touching all of the social media points, not just for content, but live game broadcasts as well.
That is amazing.
I love that. For us, we, from the beginning, have been meeting our fans, our consumers, where they're at. And I don't know if you know, but with Knicks, we used to go backstage with the makeup artists, meeting them, handing them in products. And we keep doing that. Even when creators and influencer marketing was still being discovered, we were putting these people in our campaigns and trying to be part of that evolution. What I'll say today is that that approach hasn't necessarily changed when it comes to meeting our audience where they're at. So hearing Colie, all the places that you're going to, it's similar with us when we're on social. We're going to pump out content on our brand platforms, and we're going to continue to do that on TikTok, Instagram, X. But what we're finding super important is to go where they're at. So finding those conversations on social, outside of our social platforms, is what's been incredibly important and successful. It might not be the highest volume when we're there, but it is something that is going to help build brand love and loyalty.
You know, and I think it's cool because you guys outside of that also make you show up in culture, and when you say you're showing up where your consumers are, you guys are showing up in culture at different types of events like Essence Fest. And so I think that's another way where you are being present where your consumers are, but also showing them that you understand them within those specialized moments. I think that's pretty awesome. Now, Colie, question for you. Obviously, your talent in the WNBA could easily be considered like the influencers. There's all the influencers we're working with, but you guys obviously know better that influence can come from all sorts of places. And, even down to who I think is one of the biggest WNBA influencers, Ellie the Elephant of the Liberty. I mean,
that's the mascot for those of you that
vibes. I mean, if you have never seen her content, you should look it up.
Look her up.
But I'd love to hear a little bit about how you guys use influencers outside of just your current talent who play for the WNBA to really expand the market.
Yeah, well, I think we are living, obviously, in this creator economy. So giving access is something that really was not traditionally done on the WNBA side. And now we're inviting creators to sit courtside and really give us the view from where they are. And I think that's really important. What we're trying to do with the WNBA is make it easier to be a fan. We want our fans to know when our games are on, where our games are on, and like you said, Diana, it's reaching them where they are, meeting the fan where they are. And so right now, that might be social, that might be digital, but I'm happy to report that it's also still linear for those of you television advertisers. The WNBA had a game this past Sunday on CBS, and it was the Indiana Fever, starring Caitlin Clark, versus the Chicago Sky and Angel Reese. And at peak, it was 2.9 million viewers, the highest, most watched WNBA game in 21 years. So Thank you. I am ecstatic about this because I think it's a key indicator of our growth. Making it easier to be a fan means giving us the big windows on the big networks. If you build it, they will come.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's exciting to watch that growth continue, you know? And I think it'll be really interesting to see how there are intersections between your league and even the NBA and how those two leagues can be supportive to each other. You know, Diana, I wanted to touch on this with you for a second because, you know, when we were talking to you guys and your team, we were talking about, you know, athletes being part of the way that we show up for Knicks. And there was a section in an area where we're talking about some of the male athletes too for the NBA. So, you know, tell us a little bit about how you guys see these male athletes actually being able to participate and show up for a brand like Knicks, where you might not traditionally think of that.
Yeah, I think it also goes hand in hand with female sport because they're allies. When you see and you're trying to bring more visibility to women's sport, you have to find those avenues and connection, like in entertainment, in beauty, in athletes, in sport personalities that can help push that narrative. There's not just one way. So when it comes to male athletes, I think we see them as allies to support the message that we have.
That's amazing. And I think this actually gets us into another good question for you, which is, you know, today is Juneteenth. You know, we're really looking to celebrate diversity in all of its forms today. I think we have a lovely diverse panel here right now, which I love. But I'd love to hear a little bit about how Knicks has been pioneering diversity as a brand, because I think you guys do some really fantastic work in that area.
Thank you. Yeah, Juneteenth is an important celebration and recognizes freedom and everything that comes with that. And for us, it's important because diversity and inclusion is a fabric of the brand, and not just that. Personally, for me, I'm a Latino woman in corporate America, and this is the lens that I do my job, and I'm super happy to share that with my job with Knicks. And when we're doing that, I think it's really special when we have creators, our partners, and partners like influential to raise and share what you see that the brand is doing in terms of diversity, but it's out there, it's in our campaigns. However, one thing that we don't always see is behind the scenes, Knicks is a woman-led brand, predominantly women of color, and I think that's important to share because it's also the lens that we're doing it. So when we're reaching a different community, emerging community, underrepresented communities, our leadership is that community.
I love that. I think that's pretty cool because, you know, showing diversity does not mean that you're just showing it outwardly in your content. In showing it within the realm of your organization, it makes everything way more connected and way more effective. And you know what? I'd love to hear about what you guys are doing, Colie.
Well, I can't stay quiet on that one. You know, the WNBA is the most diverse professional league in the world. It is comprised of 80% women of color, many who identify as LGBTQ+, and so that is really the core fabric of who we are. And many of our brand partnerships start with, how could we help you solve your DE&I initiatives, because that is the core of who we are. And so one thing I'm super proud of is our Changemakers platform. So our Changemakers are the largest investors as far as brand partners. It's Deloitte, CarMax, AT&T, Nike, US Bank, and Google. And it's a collective of purpose-driven organizations that work together to empower women and underrepresented groups through sport. And so it's about taking those dollars and not just putting them toward logos on the court. Yes, there's gonna be marketing benefits, but what can we do off the court? And I'm proud to be partnering with Voice in Sport, which is a digital mentorship platform, because we know that girls drop out of sport at 2x the rate of boys by the time they're 14. So in order to develop the next set of diverse leaders, we really want to focus on keeping girls in sport, because girls who play become women who lead. And so this type of work will allow us to mentor over 50,000 girls in this year. And those mentors are WNBA players. So they're speaking to the girls about mental health and body image issues. And it's just not something that many people have access to. And so I think when you look beyond just the DE&I, the way we used to see it, we really see it as all underrepresented groups. Women are a large part of that.
You know, I think that actually lends really well to my next question, which, Diana, I'd love for you to jump in on. So, Knicks, I think, has historically always been a disruptive brand. You guys are always trying to do things in a different way, think of things differently. And, you know, I think what you've done in a beautiful way is shown how there has been an evolution in the standards of what beauty really means. So can you talk to me a little bit about the work that you guys do that's really shown some of that disruption and has given girls and women the ability to look at themselves a little differently and see beauty in a different way?
Yeah, I think there's so many programs. I'm trying to think of one, but how I'll speak to it is the opportunities with the women, especially in women's sports. So I think for us, our reason is self-expression. Beauty does not fit in one box, and you can't. And I think women athletes show that every day, where on and off the court, they really are expressing who they are, and that is, we share the very same mentality. So when we're looking at that with partners and projects, I think that I think it's important to think of the people who align with that. I'll give you an example with Angel Reese. She's wearing lashes on the court, and you'll see social commentary talking about how she can see. Not only can she see, but she can ball. And I think that is so important.
And that's important to the players too, so that their identity is coming through. So if they want to wear their lashes and their nails, we want to support them in doing that.
And that's the message that we want to encourage and empower self-expression and celebrate that.
That's awesome. You know, when you think of partnerships in general, and like you guys, your brands are partnering with all different other brands. When you're thinking about partnership, you know, what goes into the way you evaluate and decide to actually build a partnership with another brand? What is some of the thinking around that that's really key and important for you?
Yeah, so I think at the W, everything we do is totally bespoke and customized and dependent upon what problems is our partner trying to solve for, and how can the league be in a position to solve them for you. But it all needs to be player first. We are a player first, player-led league. We're proud to have our Social Justice Council, which helped flip a Senate seat, and that just came out with Sue Bird's documentary. But I think it also has to align with what are our core values, what do we stand for and believe in, and bringing partners into that fold, and then doing really good work together. So, you know, whether a brand is focused on, you know, building financial literacy, which we're doing with US Bank, we offer that to the players. Deloitte came in and helped with our business transformation. They're responsible for our new app. Those are the types of things where we say, what are the needs? How can we meet each other and help to grow this? But at the end of the day, I think it has to be in service of the players and the fans. And if we're not seeing that, then it might not be the right fit.
I agree with that, and it's important to have those shared values. When we were even looking at New York Liberty and Angel City as our partners, it's looking at the fan base and where we overlap. It's not a coincidence. It's very much aligned with our ethos and our fan base. It's a different vehicle to get to them, and it's one that they're truly loyal to, and that's important. You're talking about reaching them and loyalizing them, and that is a way to do it through these partnerships.
And I think that's part of it. We know the fan that we are bringing to our partner. We know they are diverse, they are young, they are digitally savvy. And if you want access to this amazing audience, that's what our partnership will bring. But It has to be authentic, and it has to be intentional. The days of the W being an add-on to an NBA project are long gone. And I love, Angel says this all the time, but yesterday's price is not today's price, and it won't be tomorrow's price. So if you're not partnering with us now, you're just missing out.
I want to just add on to that because we have to be patient. I think a lot of the times as marketers, we want that result immediate, and there's ways to do that, and there's not just one way to enter, but it's the long game that we're playing. Building that community takes time, and we have to be patient and willing to do that.
And it's tough when partners are like, let's do a one-year deal. And I'm like, I want to show you the ROI of this investment. It is no longer just the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do for your business, but you have to be patient and you have to do it the right way. And that's why we do multi-year partnerships.
That's awesome. Yeah, and when it comes to the creator side of all of this and thinking about the players that you guys have and the way we work with players, even in university under NIL, it's been unique for us to manage those relationships. And what we've seen that's been really powerful is that the ladies really get it. The ladies know how to create, they know how to collaborate, and they understand marketing in a very different way. So it's been kind of inspiring for us in working with this type of talent to see that they're just as energized and want to learn more about how to be better, not only just on the court and in what they're doing in their day-to-day. They want to be better in marketing. It's important for them.
Yeah, I think the stat was of the 8 most followed NCAA players last year, 5 of them were women. And what we love about NIL is that our players are bringing that followership. For so long, we've really had a challenge between connecting NCAA fandom to the WNBA fandom. And social and creator economies have changed the game, right? So now you're bringing your millions of followers with you as you come into the league. And now it's our opportunity to show all of those followers what it's really like. Our campaign is all welcome to the W, because we have 144 of the world's best athletes, and now we're so excited that the new fans are here. So let us show you what we got.
Amazing. Well, I know we only have a few minutes left, and we wanted to have a little Q&A time. So wanted to open it up to the audience. Any questions for our ladies on stage?
Hey, Ian Dallimore with Lamar Advertising. LSU alumni as well, so love Angel Reese. You kind of touched on the NIL aspect. How has that helped position for NYX and the WNBA, where in the past when a brand were to come, maybe they would take advantage of the athlete, but here they're a lot more savvy because they've had 3 to 4 years in college with NIL? Thank you.
Yeah, well, all WNBA players that are based in the US actually have to graduate college before they can join the league. So they need to be 22 years old. And a big reason that we do that is because our players are really a microcosm of women in the workforce. The average length of play is going to be 5 to 7 years, unless you're Diana Taurasi and you're in year 20, or Sue Bird played for 20 years. So we want these women to be well-educated and prepared for a career long off the court. And I think NIL has enabled that to happen and start at a really young age. I do rookie orientation, and a big part of it is media training. And I can tell you this year, Angel, Cameron, Camilla, Caitlin, I felt like they were looking at me like, we don't need this. We got it. We get it. But with CarMax, we did a session on brand building, and it was so amazing to see many of these athletes already have built their brands. They understand the value of their brand, and they understand why that's important in negotiating and really right-sizing the valuation of women's sports. And I think it's all about our assets and our athletes being properly valued. Our Sportico valuations, if anyone follows that, came out just yesterday, and the average team valuation is $96 million of a WNBA team. So we are in a completely new world, but it all comes down to those athletes building up the value.
For us, it's important to start early.
Good.
Oh. Sorry, it sounded like it went away for a second. And it's important to start early. The numbers that Colie just shared isn't out of the blue. It takes time. The fandom starts as early as college, and we're reaching out not when they're the mega stars, but from a creator lens, looking at the smaller micros, and then when they're getting bigger, again, it goes back to that loyalty. So that's how we're approaching NIL.
Any other questions out there? Oh,
Easy for you. This is such a good panel. Thank you so much. I'm a Connecticut girl, so I grew up watching women's basketball. I'm Eileen from Adomni, and I wear Knicks products as well, and I love Jess Holloway.
Come on up, you've earned it.
I'd love to know how you're thinking about some of the creator trends that are impacting your businesses, and some of the emerging trends that are interesting for the audience.
How we're learning about them, that's the question. Everywhere. I think you have to look outside of beauty. For us, when we first stepped into entertainment, we had to see where beauty fit in. So when we're looking at the partners like a Netflix, a Paramount, you naturally don't see the two connections. You're looking at it. But if you start to dive in deeper, looking at their fan base, looking at the community, and also what they stand for, that's where you start to see a little bit more of the connections. You have to dive a little deeper. So for us, we go on the niche channels. That's where we're starting to find a lot of connection, trends especially, and again, back to the loyalty with our community.
yeah. All right. Okay. Well, thank you very much, everybody. I hope you get time to see these ladies. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much.